I want to bring Gemma in and hear some of Gemma's concerns in the context of the Causeway Hospital Group. Take it away, Gemma.
So back in November, we had the news that Causeway Maternity was possibly going to be in a situation where they would end births and transfer all births over to Antrim Area Hospital. And at that stage, there was a consultation. The consultation was then issued. We had, I think it was 2 online opportunities and 1 in-person opportunity, which I myself attended. So many questions were put, both online and in person. And there was a general feel, and the whispers in the room that night even, where this is a done deal. This has been a done deal for quite some time now, and it's done. So lo and behold, on I think it was the 7th or 8th of June, the decision came that yes, this was a done deal, this was happening, and all births were moving to Antrim Area Hospital. So first and foremost, we would have major concerns around what really is a consultation now. Has it got any real meaning? When we actually have the responses from the consultation, which are heavily against what's happening. So we would question what real use and what purpose is that consultation.
Can I just break in there? Because this will come in again and again, I'm sure. When it comes to providing the best health care, should we make decisions on the basis of what individual members of the public want, or on the basis of what the science suggests is the best clinical method?
I think definitely you're going to, have your experts involved, but you also have to show due regard to a consultation.
Right.
So
what is your problem? Is it the distance between Causeway and Antrim?
That would be a major one. So we have some people now who will have to travel double, almost treble the distance. The other issue is, which hasn't been talked about so much, personally, I myself, if I was to have more of a family, I would be sitting in a situation now where I am actually closer to Altnagelvin. But the recommendation is to go to Antrim Area Hospital. Now, that is of major concern, because I also know that Fermanagh people are travelling also to Altnagelvin, the pressure on another hospital. Also, I have had children myself in both Causeway and Antrim Hospital, and we have had many, many people in touch with us from Antrim Hospital at the minute, and in the past week. We have serious concerns about how Antrim are going to manage with this pressure. We know they've been under pressure before this, and we would have serious concerns as to the management of this transition.
Did you have good care in Antrim?
I did. I cannot fault the midwives on the ground. They are worth their weight in gold. They go above and beyond. I've heard of some just last week who were lucky to get to the toilet on a 12-hour shift, maybe had not ate or drank. So
those are really important concerns you have about pressures, and that needs to be addressed, and we'll come to it in a second. But is there any benefit if we can get the pressures dealt with and we get good care? Does it matter if someone has a baby in Causeway Hospital or Antrim?
That if is a major if.
If we can get that sorted out.
If we got that sorted.
And there will be no problem.
No, not necessarily, because you have babies. We've heard from the mothers who've had really traumatic births, who've had babies born on the way. We're told by the trust again and again that these are not.
Distance is a big issue.
Distance is a big issue. Also access. We're not happy with the rural impact assessment here, and it's all we've just had it there.
What do you mean by access, Gemma?
Access to public transport in order to get there if you need to, all the way from Ballycastle, from Coleraine, bypassing your hospital 2 minutes down the road to go 50 minutes down the road. But as was rightly said there is an obligation. We want treatment according to the best standards. We want people to have the best the trust can offer. We are just not assured that this is the best that can be offered. Yeah, this is a totally cart before the horse approach, and this is exactly our concern. We, Antrim at the minute, are not ready for this transition. They're under major pressure, and they have been placed under more pressure. There are consultation responses. It can be seen, you can count numerous times, recruitment and training are what come up again and again, and we are still in the same position. Recruitment has not been addressed in Causeway. It has been simply pushed down the line to Antrim, who are now under major pressure. I think we have to put more trust and give more credit to the public here. I think the public are well aware. We know there is as Eddie has earlier referred to, there is a need for centralisation of certain services. We understand that, but for example, in Causeway, this is the north of Ireland. This is not Britain. This is not Europe. We have a different landscape. We have different structures. We have a different geography here, and to argue that you can put lives at risk to go further up the road, particularly when we're talking about maternity, when we're talking about babies here, mothers, there's 2 lives at risk here. So distance is very much a part of that.
Is there any evidence of that, though, that you're putting lives at risk by taking people for maternity services from Causeway to Antrim?
Well, we have accounts ourselves, personal accounts.
You have individual accounts,
yes,
of
individual
what?
accounts
of people dying?
Not of dying, but of being in very traumatic circumstances. And as pointed out earlier, I'm sure there may well have been deaths, but we have not heard about those deaths. Just as in your reference to the planes there, same kind of example. But also in reference to beds, I know Barry mentioned there, we've more than 900 beds less in the north than we had 10 years ago. There's a lot that the people themselves do not trust anymore in the trust. There's a lot of information. We had a trust meeting Friday past, the week before, where the trust themselves, the Northern Trust, admitted that their lack of communication is also a major issue here. Yes, you're going to have to restructure, and there's no argument about it. There is a need for change. Yes, we would do things differently, of course we would. But what we have to be very mindful here is, why should somebody sitting in a rural community have any less access, any less standard of care? Because they're not sitting near a city hospital or near. What we're talking about here is almost discrimination for rural community.
They shouldn't have any less standard of care.
They shouldn't.
They absolutely shouldn't. But that doesn't mean that they have to have a hospital 2 miles away.
No, it don't, and nobody's saying they have to have the hospital 2 miles away, but they have
or
to
even
look
10
at
miles
statistics.
away.
You have to look at the research which says for safe delivery, 35 kilometres is actually the recommended distance. From above 35 kilometres is where the risk begins in travel when having a baby. We would actually agree to an extent on that. You know, we are not saying we need more hospitals. We're not saying we need more structures. What we are saying is it is according to the services. So, for example, kidney transplants make sense to be centralised and to be able to offer the best care possible. What we are saying, we also know that the Trust are mostly doing their best, but our issues are with communication, are with consultation, and not just with the public, but with staff on the ground. What the callers there are completely right. We are rehashing this out. Also say the major issues here that had the elephants in the room are recruitment, training. These are issues that we wouldn't be where we are if we had Stormont, and that is why we have campaign groups, because we have no voice.